what it mean to be the best. Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind upon the goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
Hello. Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. We're back here at Tell the Truth, episode 59. The real season, is going to begin, I should say, on
Y'all
Sunday.
smell that? Smell like playoffs.
Does smell like
playoffs.
On Saturday, I should say.
One more week.
The Chiefs, of course, have the bye week through the wild card. They essentially had a bye week. I'm sure that they wish they could have forfeited this game, to be honest, rather than actually playing it. In which they kind of didn't really show up and try versus the Broncos at 38-0 loss. In which they played exclusively backups, of course, except for one specific exception, which we'll get into as well. But how you guys doing, man? Obviously, snow in KC. Got some people snowed in, and it looks like the Chiefs are sleepwalking out there in Denver. How you guys feeling?
Monday was snowmageddon. It took me all day and an extra pair of hands to get my car out of the driveway. The weather was ridiculous over this, but got to stay in, see the Chiefs basically troll the whole league on Sunday, which I thought was phenomenal work by Andy and the boys. Carson and the crew went out there, did a sensational job. Chef's kiss, laid down like they were supposed to do. Kept that bum-ass team in Cincinnati out of the playoffs. Kept the Flippers out of the playoffs as well, too. They did what they had to do, man. Two teams, sayonara. See you later. Hope you enjoy the couch. Mock draft season coming up.
Get ready for the draft.
Two teams we laid to rest earlier in the year, and everybody else had to just catch up to. Even though obviously one of those flippers apparently doesn't want to be a flipper anymore.
We get into that too.
That's funny.
That was fun. The reality situation is there wasn't much to take away from it as far as this game is concerned. Again, Chiefs had the backups in. Obviously, Carson Wentz played the majority of snaps. Chris Oladuka ended up coming in. Carson still took the majority of the running back snaps, got a little bit of some IJP run. Starting offensive line played a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, really just the first drive before they ended up getting pulled. Obviously, Ronnie Moore stayed in the right tackle. Got our first real looks at CJ Hansen and Hunter Norzad alongside was Kingsley Suamataia at left guard, which, we can talk about a little bit maybe as well. And defense, again, was mostly backups. Obviously, they brought up Blake Lynch, who they also released today, to play linebacker. Cam Jones also primarily out there at linebacker as well. So a lot of Felix and Duque snaps, Uzama snaps specifically. So also Mike Dan and probably more Charles Minihue than I'm probably comfortable with as well. And then we also saw a lot of Najee Johnson as well. So really, we'll talk about the primary aspect of this as far as the left tackle is concerned. But do you guys have any takeaways from what we saw on Sunday? And I completely understand if the answer is no.
Everybody stayed healthy, no injuries. That was my biggest takeaway. Leave Denver, get back to KC healthy. That's all that matters.
Yeah, not many. The only probably takeaway I have from the game is I see why Cam Jones does not start, because he was not good at all. Yeah, but I'll give him the granted he hasn't had a lot of reps at that position. Played mostly special teams probably all year, so I understand it. Game's probably a little bit different from that viewpoint or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of.
It wasn't pretty. And that is something that I kind of talked about, earlier on in the season, that one of the thinnest positions out on the entire team was linebacker at that point. And thankfully, we've kind of gotten through the season in which the primary trio of Bolton, Leo, and obviously Drew Tranquil have stayed healthy. And so you cross your fingers that continues going into the playoffs as well. Because, it was not pretty with Cam Jones. It wasn't pretty with Blake Lynch. I'm still mad that this team doesn't have Curtis Jacobs, at least on the practice squad, because I thought that he was somebody that could have earned his way possibly onto the roster, obviously, especially after Jack Cochran ended up getting hurt. So, but yeah, not a great level of linebacker play that we saw, to the point where I'm kind of thinking that if one of those guys ends up going down, I assume we're going to see a lot of Justin Reed at linebacker snaps, because I don't think you would put Cam Jones out there, to be honest with you.
That was not good.
He was running around with his head cut off.
Yeah, that boy looked lost out
Going
there.
for all the fakes.
I would just take that it was, the reps matter at this point. So
I guess.
It was
not pretty.
I mean, only offensive takeaway, if anything, I guess we could say. I mean, it was good to see DJ Humphries get back on the football field. I know he last time we saw him was popped hamstring, so it was good to see him get some quality reps. Went against Nick Bonito a couple of times, one of the better edge rushers we've seen this year. Definitely he had a good kick. That was the biggest thing for me. I'm like, how does his kick look? He wasn't short legging it. He was getting out there and extending himself and getting him set for possession. Now, obviously, this won't be the full workload he would get if we had to start. Obviously, it'd be a different scenario against different teams, but we would also have a better game plan for him. But it was good to see him out there be healthy, finish the game, and I think overall they may start him just for now, since we're playing our first matchup for us will possibly. I mean, we're probably predicting it's probably going to be the Chargers, but who knows if anybody pulls off an upset. But I'm expecting it to be them, and if that's the case, then so be it. Then they know their backup scenario would be Joe Tooney at left tackle if we had to start him. But I think from what I saw Sunday, it was good enough for me that he looks healthy. If they wanted to throw him out there, I'm fine with it. But if they want to keep rolling with Joe Tooney, then I understand that as well. So, but I would probably think they would probably throw DJ out there, put Joe Tooney back at left guard, and let's kind of roll and see what we got there for sure. And if we need to break the glass, then we know where to go.
Yeah, as far as the left tackle, we'll obviously get into the actual film as far as that's concerned. I mean, I thought that you saw some solid Jaden Hicks snaps flying around out there. But we've kind of seen him play, in games that matter more recently, and see why he's continuing to earn those snaps as well. So it may end up being more of a 2025 thing. Again, Shamari Connor did end up exiting the game, and they said that he was out with a shoulder issue. So we'll see as far as what the safety rotation is going to look like in the playoffs. But Jaden Hicks, I think, has been very encouraging throughout his rookie year, and certainly as the year has worn on. And so I'm comfortable with where the safety room certainly is from that aspect as well. Outside of that, I didn't want to see Kingsley at left guard. I thought he was largely okay. He wasn't really moving people in the run game, which is to be expected. He's not a people mover as well, so I don't think he's a guard. But it is what it is. They had to get DJ Humphries as many left tackle snaps as they did, so that's what they chose. They only had 33 snaps as well, so it's like offensive snaps, I should say specifically, which is not a lot in a game. But that also is what happens when you have 3 and out after 3 and out. You're down 38-0 to lose the game. I would say not a great showing from CJ Hansen. He got beat like a drum on a consistent basis. It was a welcome to the NFL moment for the kid from Holy Cross. He obviously has a long way to go, but that's why you take him in the 6th round and develop him from that standpoint. So he got thrown in there, and it is worth saying the Denver Broncos are number 1 in the league as far as the EPA per play as far as defense is concerned. Like, that's a great defense, and it is great defense, and it's a great defense specifically along the defensive line. So this is all taken with a grain of salt as well, but. Yeah, but I thought Hunter Norzad was okay, so that was encouraging from that standpoint too.
They said CJ Hansen, Hunter Norzad,
get out
first
there.
Game, go
play Denver.
Go play against Denver. They
one of the best
the
pass rushers in the
sacks.
league. Like, go ahead, buddy. You'll be all right.
I mean, look, they threw the entire offensive line to the Wolves, which in turn threw Carson Wentz to the Wolves.
He was
Carson was running for his life the whole game.
Running for his life. The other thing that I do think that is worth mentioning, because outside of really those kind of aspects of the roster that we knew aren't going to factor in really in the playoffs, was it a question mark about what, Nico Remigio could put on tape as far as a wide receiver. And I thought they had some solid snaps at wide receiver, but I don't think that ultimately it's the outstanding game that you probably will need to keep them on the roster. I think that they're going to end up bringing Mecole Hardman back to take over the role that you saw from the majority of the season, which was primary returner. Obviously can be depth as far as a wide receiver room is concerned, if asked upon, given the fact that now they have Hollywood back and their top trio intact from that standpoint. Obviously, with Justin Watson and Juju bringing up the rear there. So I think it'll probably end up being Mecole coming back, but that was kind of the last thing that I wanted to mention as far as any takeaways as well. Ethan, what's up, man? Good to see you, dog. So all that being said, what?
We ain't gonna talk about tight end 4.
Ethan Driscoll. He ran that.
That snap is in the dropbacks that we're gonna show. We could talk about him.
You saw them hands. He was like,
"Did you see the route?
It was a good route.
He stepped outside, broke across his face.
He went up that seam. Carson should have gave him the ball.
I was saying, I'm like, come on, Carson, throw him the ball.
Make the read.
He want to throw it to the outside. He open.
He wide open.
Throw it to him.
He stemmed him outside, broke back in.
Bro, he got to the top. He had a little wiggle with it.
Broke.
He said, I was like,
okay. Trick play.
Goal line situation. Can we use Ethan?
If we want to go 6 linemen,
like, can we go?
Shout out Nick Allegretti. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Give my boy some snaps at tight end.
Bring that back.
I know we're not going to ever use this again, but it is hilarious that Ethan Driscoll did get the tight end snap. And he did. Here's the snap. Let's get some Ethan Driscoll at tight end action, baby.
6 linemen, baby. Let's go. Oh my God, he broke across his face.
Step to the outside, get up that seam. Carson, give him the ball, man.
He's wide open.
Look at all that space.
What you want him to do?
All that space for Ethan Driscoll to run into.
This is when I knew Andy Reid and them was on all kinds.
He was on bullshit. He ran a tackle down the field. He didn't care about nothing. He don't give a piss about nothing but the playoffs. He don't care about this game, bro.
Go run a route. Let's see.
Go ahead, Ethan. You got it.
And you know Ethan probably been dying and just like, bro, I'm waiting.
Coach, I can do it.
Yeah. Look at that.
Shout out to Ethan Driscoll.
Andy don't give a piss about nothing but the playoffs. My goodness.
He got up on Buddy's heel. Look.
And turned around. Looked like he was gonna get the ball too. Yeah, he looked. He's like, I'm open.
Hit me a strike.
Ain't nobody here. I'm right here.
Whoa.
Hey, you see how the linebacker didn't even look at him?
Yeah, and they're not,
the linebacker let him run right by him. He didn't try to reroute it.
Not taking he was like, go ahead, serious, bro. They're not taking my boy serious, dog.
Respect Ethan Driscoll, bro.
Respect 75. Yeah, this play let me know. I seen this on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, we was on straight bullshit.
We don't care about life.
We didn't care.
We don't give a piss about nothing but the playoffs. That's how Andy treated
it. Andy was like, call whatever y'all want to call.
He said, hey, y'all want to see some stuff we ain't called before? You can call that tight end. We ain't called that yet.
They went to the back of the playbook. Was like, where that left tackle tight end?
Oh yeah, this that training camp play. Yeah, run that.
All kinds of bullshit. It was great to see though. Phenomenal job. Phenomenal tank job by Andy Reid and company.
Spectacular tank job. So as far as the actual takeaways from this week, really just one that was worthwhile, which is the DJ Humphries at left tackle. Going into this week, this was the topic of conversation that was major. Humphries healthy for the first time in a few weeks since he had hurt his hamstring versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now having the opportunity to test himself against, again, the number one defense in the NFL as far as the EPA per play, a defensive line that features multiple really good rushes really across the entire line, but of course is headlined by Nick Medino. He's been one of the better edge rushers in the National Football League this year. A little bit of a mixed bag, but I did want to go through it so we can kind of talk through it and see what we've seen. And as we're going to go through it, we'll talk about it from that standpoint. But you guys jump in with what you guys saw throughout the day. I thought that he moved okay, better than I saw versus the Chargers, but not as well as he did maybe even on tape in 2023. But he looked healthier, which is, useful. And I thought for me. Yeah. And I thought that also it felt like they gave him less help than I thought when I was watching. Like I thought that he got more chip help, but when I went back and watched the actual snaps, he just didn't get that much chip help. He just didn't. And so they left him on the island and challenged him. Here was the first snap against Nick Medino. I mean, he essentially just stonewalled that bull rush attempt right there.
The kick was the biggest thing for me. He just looked, like you say, he looked fresh, looked like he had time off to get that hamstring healthy. And usually the biggest sign for me is when a guy's coming off injury, does he shorten his kick? His kick was great. He got out there in space and obviously set himself up for being able to punch and get in place and get his hands in place to be in position to make a block. So as long as his kick and his timing was good, as far as hand placement and punch, that comes with reps, and obviously you can only do so much in practice. But his kick was good for me. For a guy that hasn't played football in what? He got hurt during that Chargers game. That was, a month ago? Almost? Yeah. So for a guy that's been out for like 4 or 5 weeks, he looked good for me. So that's all you could do. If they decide to throw him out there versus maybe situational based, because if we get the Chargers, obviously you're going against Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. And then obviously if we have to play other teams, maybe the pass rush may not be as good. So it'll be a good, interesting decision to see what they do, whichever way they decide to roll. But from what he saw, I think if they threw him out there, I would be okay with it based off what we saw here on film. So
I thought this was an interesting snap, and I'll let you go, DG. Was just the ability to kind of stay with that initial punch that Nick Benito kind of brought to the table. It really stonewalled it initially. And again, if the ball's not coming out, the ball's not coming out.
Ball would have been out by then. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's always a big part of it. But I thought, again, to your point, that kick was very good. The hand placement was good, and the strength as well. Yeah. The hand placement and strength was good as well. And
you try to recover and just make them work for it.
Yeah. And look, that's all you can do. The point of an offensive lineman is to give
yourself another second, another play
for the quarterback to get the ball off. Go ahead, DG.
Yeah, I would say that from my expectations, I mean, I didn't have major expectations for him coming in regardless. I just expected him to be a vet and do his job. And I think he kind of showed a lot of that in this game, especially. I know early on in the year, this was a game where matchup-wise, the offensive line really struggled, especially with the speed rush that the Broncos possess with Benito and Jonathan Cooper on the outsides there. Those guys, that tandem has been they've been incredible this year. So I just think there are points in times where, like, it's not about you being the quickest guy off the snap or the fastest guy. It's more
good catch, Nico.
About you being the more savvy, what techniques can you use. I think that's kind of what DJ Humphries can bring to this team. It's just that presence to know, okay, do I use this technique in this situation? Just having that presence of mind. He's been in the league so long now that I think he kind of knows what's to be expected. And I think in this matchup last time, you kind of had inexperience at that position, so it didn't help you all that well. So I think if to King Smoke's question, if you run into a Denver team again, I think you feel confident going in there knowing that you got a guy that can do his job on the outside. It may not be perfect, may not look pretty, but can at least do a serviceable job enough for you to go out there and win a game. And I think that's what he showed on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think that's where ultimately I landed as you go through these snaps. Some of the losses were ugly. And there's one of these where Nick just absolutely toasts him around the edge, and that's going to happen because Nick is a really good guy, a really good edge rusher, and he's able to really use that speed to his advantage. But generally speaking, I thought that it was an okay level of play. Again, not having a whole lot of help. And that's kind of what you've gotten out of Joe Thuney in this last month, that you've had to put him at left tackle too. Mm-hmm. And so if you're telling me that the floor at left tackle is similar to what Joe Thuney put on tape, and that's, with DJ Humphries kind of having less help from a getting the ball out standpoint, from a chip help standpoint, that Joe Thuney already had at left tackle over this kind of,
You run that clip back?
Yeah, I was about to run it
back. That was a good pickup.
I thought it was a good rep from both those guys. But if you're telling me that is going to be the floor, and then you have the increase or the upgrade that Joe Thuney is over Mike Caliendo, who's been all right, probably below average at guard. But what Joe Thuney is being an elite guard, then yeah, I'm comfortable putting DJ at left tackle, building the game plan accordingly, giving him first team reps. And it seems like there wasn't any issues as far as health is concerned. So gets the extra week off, and we're ready to go into the playoffs from that standpoint. But like you said, this is a really good rep by Kingsley and DJ being able to pass off this stunt. The D tackle is going to go up and kind of try and take into DJ. Kingsley does a good job keeping his hands on just to put him in a good place for DJ to catch him, and then be in a good position to catch the defense end, trying to looping inside from that standpoint. And then obviously they use P Ryan out of the backfield to catch the ball effectively.
Kick, pass off, keep your head up, and good job by CJ picking it up too.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And there's also that was Norzad.
Sorry, Norzad. Sorry, Norzad.
Yeah, great communication.
Yeah, pass off, keep your eyes inside. Yep, see your man go away.
That was a nice rep from Norzad, being able to take that on too, and just checking back and forth to see if he needed any help, and being ready to help out Kingsley on the inside there. So that was a good rep by all three of those guys on the left side too.
I think with Kingsley, it's just confidence, man. And just knowing what you're doing, knowing what your assignment is, learning the playbook. I think that's kind of think it's been more of the mental part of the game that he struggled with.
Just needs time. And naturally, when you're playing guard, you can, given his athleticism, he may be better suited for guard. That's why a lot of people prefer him to play there, because obviously he can pull, get around those edges, get in the open field and make plays. But his athleticism can help him more in short area quickness, like here, more so than built in, obviously, in the tackle position. But he has the ability to be a good lineman. Like you say, he just needs reps, just needs time. The strength and the punch was there. We saw it at BYU. He just needs the reps. And the next training camp, he'll be light years ahead of where he was this year. So try to put a line on his plate this year, and rightfully so. Hey, Andy believed in him. He thought he had a chance, and he gave him the opportunity, and he didn't capitalize, which is fine. Nobody's fault. Hey, they try to give you a line on your plate, see how you can handle it. We'll boil you back next year and see what happens. So, but I think his athleticism and his being able, the ability to pull in his legs and his punch, I think he may be better suited for guard, which, hey, we have some guys that are up for contracts and guys that may be in free agency. So it's a scenario it's a good thing to have when you have multiple guys that can play positions. And we always preach and value Andy Heck's ability to have guys play multiple spots. So it's a good thing that he got these reps at guard for sure. Now they got that on tape, so now they can bring that into offseason and see what we can do if given the opportunity for sure.
Yeah, and Chuck, we did go over the clip, but it'll be coming up here in a second. We'll talk about it too. So this is kind of and you guys completely spot on about Kingsley's role on this team, and this is unfortunately kind of because of the left tackle situation is what it is right now. You had to get DJ these snaps, and so ultimately Kingsley had to play somewhere else to kind of help out his confidence from that aspect. The pressing, the pressing nature of what the playoffs are going to look like from the left tackle situation takes precedent over Kingsley's confidence building. So even though I wanted to see him at left tackle, it is what it is. It kind of had to go this way, but Kingsley, I still think, to your point, is a guy that's going to, get in the lab throughout the entirety of this offseason, work on that hand placement. Again, the athleticism and the tools are all there. They just have to teach him a little bit of those finer technique points to make sure that he's on that aspect. And again, to rebuild his confidence as well. So I'm still bullish on Kingsley being a long-term left tackle here in Kansas City. But this is, a rep that where you're dealing with 3-tech inside your shoulder, and he just walks Kingsley back because Kingsley isn't necessarily built to deal with the 3-tech walking you down straight back into the quarterback's lap. And then also Nick lined up in that wide 9, getting that runway on DJ, gets him a little bit off balance as DJ's trying to protect that edge, and then gets to the inside, and then DJ ends up, essentially tackling for holding, which, hey, sometimes you got to hold to make sure the quarterback doesn't get killed.
You ready? Here we go. One-on-one, Rook. Let's do it. That's this play right here.
Gotta get in that seat. Gotta get in that seat, Kingsley.
Welcome to the NFL moment for him.
Yeah. And again, on the right side there, right guard, CJ Hansen had a few of those as well. You had a few of those. Welcome to the NFL moments.
Better get in that seat.
Coming from Holy Cross, it's gonna happen, dog.
Better sit down, son.
Mm-hmm.
I think this, in my opinion, was all good experience. Good,
Get your head
even through the bad, it's still good reps to go out there and get this kind of game speed. It's not preseason where guys are like Denver starters were going full. They were playing.
You can only get so many live reps during the year when you're not a starter. It's just you're not doing that in practice. So these are really the only live reps they had since probably training camp. Like once training camp is over, they don't hit. So they don't really get any live reps unless you're playing. So these are really their first full game reps since the preseason in August. So yeah, it's hard to really gauge and get guys those reps during the season for sure.
That'd have been fun if Carson was able to hand that ball off there. So
yeah, it was a nice little lane. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I like the release.
Yeah. And also because another piece of this was evaluating what you saw from Carson Wentz. He was running for his life. That's just kind of the reality situation.
From the beginning of the game, too.
You have to take it with a grain of salt. I thought the same, there's athleticism there. You see the arm strength still. I think some of the decisions were still questionable, but that's the reality situation. Still, all things being said, I think if you put him in a setting in which it's a playoff setting and it's a Chad Henne or a Blaine Gabbert type of, you got to get a drive or two just to stem us over the tide, I still feel like we're confident in our backup quarterback to be able to do so from that standpoint. So I thought I saw enough from Carson Wentz given the circumstances that I wasn't too concerned from that aspect. This was a good rep though. Again, DJ versus Dick Medino in that wide 9 once again, just being able to use his hands to push, I should say, forklift, Nick Medino's hands off of him and essentially just kind of stop his momentum there. not allow him to get anywhere forward from there. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought he. That's my thing. I had no expectations going into this game. I kind of knew going into this game what the Chiefs might do. It basically went the way I thought it was gonna go. Go out there, try to
Very vanilla.
work on some stuff, but keep it very, very vanilla, not put too much on tape. I think they knew this team also was a team that they could potentially see in a couple of weeks here. So don't want to give them too much ammo to work with at this point. Keep everything basic and dry, and I think that's basically what you saw. I thought Carson made some good decisions at points in times, and then there was points in times where he was just under duress because the line is just their backups. Like you're playing with backup receivers, and Justin Watson is your one, and it's at a point now. It's just I didn't have that many expectations. I think I started watching Jets and Dolphins in the middle of this game as well.
Oh, I definitely turned it off.
Yeah,
Well, the crazy thing is
they
YouTube, because I watch on YouTube TV, or I guess it was Sunday technically, turned the game off and went to the Chargers Raiders game, so I couldn't even watch it if I wanted to.
I definitely turned it off. I was like, I'm off this.
Once Overdukin came in, I was like, we're not
being
serious right now.
But this is an interesting snap because I think it also provides a little context for later on in the game. P. Ryan is going to give DJ some chip help, but he ends up pushing Nick Bonito too far inside. I don't know if this is like or you're anticipating the chip help and blocking accordingly, maybe a little bit of uncomfortability as well from that aspect, but it plays into a little bit later on what it looks like from that aspect too. So these are things that you just got to get ready for. He oversets a little bit to the outside, and then the chip ends up pushing Nick inside, and he helps out in the sack, but Carson was sacked regardless on that play, so it didn't necessarily matter to the result. Chuck, here's the clip of Ethan Driscoll.
Oh yeah, Chuck, here we go, baby. Why, Daddy?
All right, at tight end.
Why did he suck?
Hey,
I'm open.
Ethan was like, "This,
I'm open.
This my time, gang. Throw me the ball. It's me right here."
Ethan said, "I'm open."
Get up the hash.
Country would have been like, "What are you doing?"
Ethan, like, I'm ready. I'm ready, coach. Over the ball. He was ready for Carson.
I love it, man.
Hey, Chuck, he turned his head around like he was real good getting the ball too. You see that? He was like this. Oh,
complete, God. Total unseriousness.
Oh,
man.
God, that was funny. He'll be in the meeting rooms. I could have caught that ball, right, Coach?
Mm-hmm. Right? Coach, next time.
All I needed was a chance.
I'm up to see him. All he got to do is see me.
Coach,
right
I'm a decoy. They ain't going to look at me. We can run it in the end zone. They're not going to see me.
Not going to notice.
I'll come in. Got to give him the signal. I'm eligible.
He sold it, man. I'm trying to tell you. Y'all didn't
Coach,
see
they ain't going to see me in the red zone.
He was patient, got up to the top of the route. Little, he's ready.
And so this was one of DJ's, lesser snaps on the day. This wasn't there. Just got beat by the two-hand swipe there on the outside, which is something that we saw Wayne Moore's fall victim to as well. I mean, you see there were probably, and PFF, which idiocy, they had him like graded terribly, which he didn't play as poorly as that grade would suggest. But there were about 5 snaps where it was ugly. And again, for how much they left him on an island, it's kind of, you take it into context. And I think that if you saw a game plan similar to what you saw with Joe Tooney, which is get the ball out quickly and then also give some help when you don't, I still think that he's fine. I still think that he's fine at left tackle personally, but there were some ugly snaps, and that was one of them as well. You'll see Nick Bonito go ahead and get around the edge on a speed rush later on in this as well. That was a nice rep there from Nico Remigio, and then also Carson Wentz.
Little speed out. Okay, Nico.
Yeah. I saw some encouraging things from Nico Remigio, even though I don't think that he's going to be, sticking on the roster.
Not Twitter's favorite wide receiver.
That's a training camp favorite, baby.
Yeah.
No, George Pickens is Twitter's favorite roster.
Him too.
And Remigio is second. Trying to tell you.
Nice little stone wall right there. did a good job kicking out quickly to make sure that Nick didn't have an easy route to the heart. Got out to him, square, stoned him. Nothing to do there. Nice pocket for Carson, just missed the throw a little bit.
Yeah.
Those two kicks are the most important part. He got out there. Give yourself a chance with the first kick. Which is all you can do.
So this, I think this is the and again, Nick Benito does an amazing job. First step quickness, obviously getting around the arc. The bend here is stupid. Like the way he dips his shoulder there is spectacular. The thing about it is, again, from that earlier clip where P. Ryan ends up helping to his outside and then pushes Nick inside because DJ tries to help again, tries to overset. This again, I don't know if P. Ryan is supposed to chip, but he ends up going, through the B gap and doesn't end up chipping on the outside. I don't know if DJ is expecting chip help. Again, it's a communication thing, but obviously Nick here just ends up beating DJ around the edge for one of the uglier snaps.
Sheesh. He like, Samaje, where you at, gang?
Sheesh.
But that day, look at this. The bend, the bend here is crazy, man.
Like,
Nick Benito's so good.
Yeet.
Nick is so good. Look at that.
It was ever so slightly.
15 on their side he's gonna be a hell of a player, man. He's gonna be a problem.
And he already is.
Yeah, for a long time to come.
He's gonna be a problem. Yeah, I mean, him and Surtain, just he's gonna be a heck of a duo.
And Cooper.
They're gonna be there for a long time.
Absolutely. And then we got to the end of the game where Oladugan was in.
Let's go, Chris.
I think this was only maybe 3 snaps in the game as far as Chris out there, quarterback. He does a solid job. It initially, gets beat by that spin move, and ends up falling down.
Keep your feet, son.
So that spin move ends up beating him there with Cooper on the outside. I think he does a solid job on this rep. Yeah, it takes the three tech inside. Then Chris goes full scramble mode. So yeah, I mean that is kind of the entirety of the drop back snaps from DJ Humphries. Again, handful. I think he counted on one hand as far as bad snaps in which he got beat, mostly by Nick Benito, who again, very good edge rusher. I thought he was left on the island a lot. I thought ultimately it was an okay game. The quality was fine. And I think that if you add in a playoff game plan and the help that Joe Tooney ended up receiving really over the last month accordingly, then I feel comfortable with DJ Humphries being the left tackle in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't disagree at all. I think that at some point in time, just like I said, that veteran presence comes into play. I think that's what you need out there. I would rather have that out there than inexperience.
Absolutely. Chip help, game plan, run the football. We know what time it is, too, for sure. With a game plan, obviously, in any team we play, we're already going to have film on them as well, given the team we have played either recently or twice this year, being either Chargers or Texans, whoever decides to win that game. So, yeah, it will be a hell of a matchup for us.
You don't think Pittsburgh is winning?
Well, we did get a question about seeing Denver again soon, and if anybody has any specific questions as far as the
Denver
playoffs
does guys work, or
by all means, please do ask. We'll be happy to answer them. And that's really all we got as far as this entire.
I was going to talk about playoff scenarios at this point. I mean,
yeah,
I fully believe Buffalo and Baltimore are going to win. But if the Lord wants to do His will, go ahead, brother, because I so appreciate it. If you want to do.
We are going to take a little bit to go through the playoff picture, certainly, but I do have 2 things that I do want to hit quickly. And this was news that happened before the game on Sunday. But it appears that Jaylen Watson is somebody that has the opportunity to return here. They designated for him to return. And the fact that it happened last week, given the window that is, the 21-day return window, that makes me encouraged that he's going to end up playing in the divisional round. And if he does, whatever that role is, I think that's going to be a big help. We've seen, obviously, some of the struggles at cornerback, too. Williams is still necessarily having those issues down the field. We've seen some of the weaknesses as far as Najee Johnson being there at corner. We know how elite Trent McDuffie is. We've gotten okay play from Chris Rowland-Wallace in the slot. But Jaylen Watson and what he presented, especially early on in the year at cornerback, too, was one of the best cornerbacks in the league at that point. You add him back into this roster to be able to help out with Trent McDuffie, and then this is a defense that has not seen snaps of Jaylen Watson and Charles Omenihu on the same field since last year's divisional round game, I believe, technically, or last year's AFC Championship game briefly. So obviously, that would be incredibly encouraging to have those two guys out there. Jaylen Watson, if he's able to make that comeback, which it appears based on some of the videos that we've seen, really cutting, being able to move effectively on that ankle would be a huge help. But how do you guys feel about Jaylen Watson possibly being back for this playoff run?
Anything he gives us would be a bonus. Obviously, we know the percentages: 67 completion percentage when he's on the field, 60 with him on the 67 with him off the field, 60 with him on the field. So he's a big boost to our defense. He's been our CB2 all year since day one. So obviously when we lost him, it was a big loss for us. But guys had to step up. So that was good reps and good timing for Nazi and Josh to prove their worth to the defense and show what they can do. The biggest guy that had the biggest jump for me was Christian Roland-Wallace. We said that last week on our show. He's a guy that definitely showed promise. And there's always that one unsung hero that kind of steps up when injuries happen. And obviously Coach Mary has been doing this for a very long time. So to find that guy at a USC undrafted to go out there and play well, I think that's a big notice. But the impact for Jaylen Watson is huge for us. It's a guy who's legit 6'1", 6'2". Him and Josh are both extremely long corners. I mean, you can have two guys who can go out there and make an impact on defense and make it tough for more physical receivers to get off the line. That's a matchup that you love to have, especially when you're playing guys like possibly Nico Collins or possibly Quentin Johnston, bigger physical receiver that you have to see. Having those corners who can get their hands on them early is going to do nothing but make our defense better, which is going to give Charles Omenihu, Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, and the whole crew up front. The more time they get to rush, the better they are, which means the DBs get their chance to make more picks. So, and we've been getting our hands on a lot of turnovers the last 3-4 weeks. So anything we get is a boost. So this is going to do nothing but make us better. So when we said this a couple weeks ago, which guy will we want to see come back? Most of us said Jaylen Watson, and this is why. He just brings so much boost to our defense.
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead, Gigi.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna be petty because I don't forget a lot. A lot of y'all, and then this probably nobody on this listening to this show.
Yeah, they're not in the chat today. Yeah,
but a lot of people on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere, one is Stephon Gilmore over Jaylen,
or Marshawn Lattimore,
or Marshawn Lattimore, one of the two.
Mr. No Hamstrings.
There was a lot of complaints during training camp about, what are we going to do?
Oh boy.
For cornerback 2.
Who's CB2?
Who's gonna step up and play CB2? Josh Williams and Jaylen Watson, they're not it. And I think I was the main one. I know for sure us being.
I know for a fact.
I know I was one of the main ones that kept telling people
respect
Jaylen Watson can be CB2. He has the skills. He has what it takes to be out there on that field playing next to.
He did it last year when Steve went down, or 2 years ago. So he already showed you.
I said that, it's like
between.
I know there was arguments between, Josh Williams and Jaylen Watson. I kept telling people I think Jaylen Watson has played against a better competition. I think he's more prepared for this moment and more ready to step into being that CB2 that this team needs. And what do you know? I was right. Whole damn time. He gives you something that you've seen over these last couple of weeks that you haven't, since he's been out, that you haven't had. A bigger corner, a guy who can go out there and be more physical at the line, takes away a lot of stuff on that other side, allows you to rotate Trent McDuffie down into the slot if you really need to, because now he can go out and guard the bigger receivers or whatever. So he provides a lot for them. It's good to see him back, hopefully fully healthy. I know he's probably not fully healthy, but, to be able to be healthy enough to get back onto the field and help out, I think that he will play in the divisional round, probably in limited capacity. But at a point where if it comes down, we need him situationally. I think that Spags has no issues with inserting him in there and allowing him to do his thing. But yeah, man, this defense is a lot better when he's on the field, and that's
the versatility we had too, DG. When we have certain packages, when obviously we're saying we're facing teams that have multiple tight ends on the field, if he wants to use like a demon scenario that I like, Josh and Jaylen on the outside, you can put Trent back in his natural position when he's in the slot, and we know how Trent times up his slot blitzes very well, and Spags like to use those this time of year. That's another package we haven't had essentially since Jaylen went down earlier in the season. So now you have that. All your options in your scenario are back now and everything that you want to do. So having him and Josh on the field at the same time is so huge for us because now you can have two bigger corners on the outside. If we want to go zone, you can have Trent do his slot blitzes and we kind of mix it up. So it's just everything in the bag is available for Spags and for Coach Merritt too. So.
And I think ultimately that's the thing that it comes down to, having those options to be able to be versatile in what you want to put out there as far as the back end is concerned. This is a safety room that goes 4 deep now with Justin Reed, Brian Cook, Shamari Connor, and Jaden Hicks. This is a cornerback room that if Watson is back, you feel comfortable about him, Trey McDuffie, and of course, Jesus Christ, Joshua Williams. And then also Chris Rowland Wallace occasionally in the slot, also you feel comfortable with. Najee Johnson still from some, probably zone snaps, but he's probably primarily a special teams player, and he's a good special teams player, so that's okay. It's not the end of the world from that aspect neither. But just being able to have those different chess pieces for Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo to use in the playoffs is really what it comes down to. And we know how much of a schemer he certainly is. But I did want to give these insights from NFL Pro, just talking about Jaylen Watson, who we started off the season in week 7. Recording more passes defense than completions allowed on at least 10 targets as the nearest defender. He, and 23 of those, at least from that standpoint. So he's balling out to start the year. And then once he got hurt, the Chiefs allowed a 70% completion percentage without him on the field. It was 60% with him on the field, and that was as of week 13 as well. And the passer rating difference was similar as far as week 14 was concerned by that time. So again, it just comes down to this has been a better defense with Jaylen Watson on the field. And now the fact that you have the opportunity to get Jaylen Watson and Charles Omenihu on the field is kind of what it comes down to for me, as far as, a question that Lonnie Peary kind of asked as far as Super Saiyan mode. I don't think that you can look across the National Football League and say that any team fits the bill as far as having not played their best football yet, like the Kansas City Chiefs, because again, you haven't seen Jaylen Watson and Charles Omenihu on the field at the same time for this defense yet. On the offense, I think the best version of the offensive line is going to be put out there during the playoffs. You haven't seen that version of the offensive line and these 3 wide receivers out there. Never mind, the limitations that they put on DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously, he was under the 50% threshold, so it's only going to be a 5th-round pick sent to the Tennessee Titans, who are going to be sending us the 66th overall pick for L'Jarius Sneed. Shout out to the Titans for that. And, obviously, Hollywood Brown coming back and the limitations they put on him. Hopefully, and this is something that I tweeted out, Isaiah Pacheco fully healthy, which I don't think we've seen necessarily since he's come back. This extra rest hopefully can get him back to his explosive nature that he was. Certainly last year's playoffs, I was going back and watching some of that tape too. He looked like a totally different player than the one that we've seen since he's come back from injury. So I think the Chiefs' best football is ahead of them in the playoffs, and that's what the goal is this time of year, to make sure that it is as well. Before we get into the playoff picture, I did want to ask you guys just 3 quick questions as far as season awards are concerned. It's not traditional awards because it's a little bit different, obviously, when you're talking about the Chiefs and how the regular season ends up going out. But I got 3 for you guys. It's the MVP outside of the big 3: Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. The most improved player on each side of the ball, and then position coach of the year. You guys want to shout out as well. You guys can take them whichever order you want to. But I'll say for me, the non-big 3 MVP out of those guys, the guy that, been elite at his position once again and been left off on some of these all-pro ballots, which I just don't understand. People saying that Trey McDuffie is not an all-pro corner is to me. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He's been spectacular as far as limiting separation on a consistent basis. He's added the ability to take the ball away. His physicality, being able to stop the run is special as far as the league is concerned. He still blitzes at the highest level, really, of any corner in the National Football League. He's an all-pro. What he's been able to do to be able to stabilize his defense, particularly on the back end, and give Spags something to build that back end off of week in and week out without Jaylen Watson going down. Trey McDuffie's awesome. So he's.
And I don't like to be that guy to do scenarios and comparing, but when Patrick Surtain Jr., who's most people CB1, when he played Jamar Chase, he had over 90 yards. When Jamar Chase played the Chiefs, DMac, how many yards did he have?
A lot less than 90 yards.
It was under 40.
To be fair,
not trying to be that guy, but Jamar Chase gave most people hell this year. When he played us, what happened?
He did not. He did not give us at all. Now, to be fair, He only gave up 27 yards when he was matched up with Patrick Surtain II. But Trent McDuffie still also gave up less than 27 yards when he was matched up with Jamar Chase. So, look, the reality situation is Trent McDuffie took a lot of number one wide receiver assignments and was great against them. And specifically against Jamar Chase, who, of course, had the best wide receiver season of anybody in the National Football League, winning the Triple Crown. He frustrated him to the point that he got a flag because he was complaining to the refs too much. So, yeah, I mean, Trent McDuffie's awesome. As far as position of coach to shout out, I know people are not necessarily, going to be in love with this pick, given some of the cornerback issues, but I thought Dave Merritt has done a really good job bringing Jaden Hicks along, trying to piece it together as far as the cornerback position is concerned, and really working around what is, a safety room that's kind of redundant really across the board too. So I'm always going to give a shout out to Dave Merritt. Mr. DB's on 3. Shout out to him. He deserves it. Most improved on each side of the ball. I mean, it's kind of difficult to kind of point out because the Chiefs aren't necessarily – because the Chiefs always have guys that really step up and ask them to do more. My defense
Leo Chanel. That'd be my defensive pick.
Yeah, because
he took a big jump this year.
He did. Mine is going to be Tershawn Wharton. They asked him to play a lot of snaps, especially early on, and he was able to be really effective as a pass rusher in addition to being a better run stuffer than he had before. So I think it's kind of an underrated season that Tershawn Wharton was able to do. And so I'll say that he deserves my nod from that standpoint. On the offensive side of the ball, I think you could point to a few different people, but for me personally, I'm going to go with
Noah Gray.
I was going to let you guys have the easy one to know.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to go with Mecole Hardman because I thought that he really solidified his role as far as being able to be a useful wide receiver occasionally. Obviously, we saw the jet sweeps come back into fashion versus the 49ers, which was a lot of fun to always see. But specifically being able to be the primary returner, which I think he's been really good at, and making smart decisions on a consistent basis. So I wanted to give him that shout out. I left Noah Gray and who I think that DG probably may end up picking for most improved. So I'll let you guys go ahead and
big jump
as far as that perspective. But yeah, non-Big 3 MVP, position coach of the year, and then most improved on each side of the ball for you guys.
Non-Big 3 MVP. Damn. Damn, you took a good one.
Man, we already said Trent. Yeah, Trent got
it. Yeah, you took a good one in Trent.
Got to be Trent.
The other one I think would be Creed.
You know what? You know who I'll say?
Joe Tooney.
He's probably
that's a really good one too.
Joe Tooney.
Tooney's a good one.
Tooney and Creed, either one. Yeah.
I'll go with a low key one, and I think he's one of the reasons why our run defense was a lot better this year. Mike Pennell.
Mikey P.
I think Mike Pennell was obviously one of the more underrated signings this offseason.
Facts.
Came in, just a guy that does his job, doesn't complain, doesn't, complain about snaps or anything like that. Just comes in and does his job, man. He's a ball in the middle. I think he's obviously helped out Derek Nondi's game a little bit more, taking a little bit of pressure off of him as well, too, to help fit in some of those run fits or whatever, and it made our run defense very stout, especially beginning of the season. I don't think there was a running back that could run even for over 40 yards on us.
Boy, our run defense like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to be able to do that, man, which is, going to be a key component going into these playoffs or whatever, really is just about guys being able to stop the run and getting off the field, keeping teams in long distances or whatever so those pass rushers can eat. He helped with that this year. So I'll give that to him. What was the other two? You said most improved and who else?
Yeah, most improved on each side of the ball and then position coach of the year.
Most improved on each side of the ball.
Position coach for me is definitely Joe Cullen. Easily for me.
Yeah, Cullen would be a good one. I'll say Brandon Daly for linebackers. Linebackers were great this year, especially Nick Bolton.
Losing Willie. Yep.
Yeah, Nick Bolton had a lot on his plate this year to kind of step up and play more downs, especially on more third downs, more passing downs this year. And I think he, there's points of times where he had his struggles, but I think he handled it pretty well. held that position down very well. So I know a lot of that has to do with what Brandon Daly brings to this team each week. It's a guy that a lot of people don't talk about. I know that everybody talks about Joe Cullen or Dave Merritt or Nagy or anybody else, but don't rarely hear Brandon Daly's name get brought up a lot, and he's been here for quite some time, helping out this defense. So give him his props and his flowers. Most improved. Oh, man. Chiefs just set such a high standard that it's like, did anybody really improve from the last year?
Well, it could be an in-season improvement. I thought you were going to choose
From last year to this year, did they play better?
But yeah.
I guess to me, I'll say, well, this is not improved, but Samaje Perine, I think, in my opinion, early on in the year, the role wasn't real depth. Didn't really know what his role was actually gonna be, and then I think they kind of started to find out, that he could actually handle that Jared McKinnon type role, and he was impressive with it, man. Didn't miss a beat. Almost kind of felt like Jared McKinnon was back there again. So for him to come
blitz pickup,
to step up in that, he made some crucial plays for us, especially down this stretch or whatever. Don't need to touch the ball a lot or whatever, but still goes out there and does what needs to be done. Play special teams if you need him to. Great, can be a kick returner if you want him to. Play third down back if you want him to. I mean, you put Samaje Perine anywhere, he's willing to do it this year. So I'll for offense, I'll give it to him. Defensively, I'll say George Karlaftis towards the back end of the year. His presence, especially when Charles Omenihu kind of came back as well. George's game took a little bit of an uptick. There was a point in time where he was missing in action for a good couple weeks, and we didn't know where he was. And then for him to kind of turn it on at the end of the year and bring, that presence.
And Mike Dana too.
Yeah, Dana as well too, off the edge. It's phenomenal. Hopefully they can keep it going in the playoffs, man.
It's that time of the year. Mm-hmm. It's that time.
CJ, I know you said obviously, great for your big three MVP, or no, you said most improved on offense. So
most improved, Noah. Defense, most improved would definitely be Leo. Positional coach would be Joe Cullen for me. Obviously, with Charles Omenihu going down and obviously having so much pressure on them up front. No Snead being gone this year and Willie Gay being gone, the defensive line had to step up, and we were hard on them. And they weren't, like DG said, they were missing in action a lot of weeks, and guys had to get to the quarterback and do their job. And Charles Omenihu bringing back probably helped guys push themselves to another level of greatness, because nothing makes you play better than obviously your own peers, and having a guy that's coming for your job that makes you have to perform better and come to work and hold yourself to that standard that the Chiefs have built. So definitely Joe Cullen for me, dealing with all the changes and all the injuries, and he still found a way to, for this defensive line, and the biggest one for me that kind of solidified that decision was the Pittsburgh game. No Chris Jones, and that defensive line dominated. That was arguably the best performance of the defensive line all year, and you did it without your second or third best player on the team, without Chris Jones. So love to see what he did up front. Love to see guys getting after it. Love what Turk has done this year as well. And, man, just ready to see what guys could do. When in the playoffs now, it's that time of the year. We lock in. We got 2 weeks to get ready. You guys see players in that mode. You see D-Hop posting stuff now. The guys know what time it is now. They know this is the real season for the Chiefs. So it's all fun and games between September and December, but January is when everything really starts for us now. So I think we're, like we said 2 weeks ago, we're getting healthy at the right time. Jay Watt's coming back. Joe Tooney is showing he can done, so we have that emergency window covered up as well. Those are the two scenarios, the two situations we were most concerned about, CB2 and what are we going to do with left tackle. So we have both of those scenarios ready for either position. So I'm fully confident, locked and loaded, and ready to go into the playoffs now. Now it's about game plan at this point, just figuring out who the weakness is and what you want to attack based on whichever team we get. So,
yeah, I think they perfectly fine across the board with all of those. So yeah, figure we can hand a little bit of season awards out, given the regular season has come to a close as well. And honestly, we don't have to do it the traditional sense. We can have more fun as far as that's concerned. So All that being said, obviously now we look forward to the playoff picture and what that's going to end up looking like. And I'll go ahead and throw the bracket up so we can kind of roll through as far as the matchups are concerned. On the AFC side, you will have the AFC South champion Houston Texans going up against the Los Angeles Chargers, 5 seed, traveling to Houston. The AFC North will have a rematch, Ravens, Steelers in Baltimore as well in the wild card weekend. And then I think that's on Saturday. Yeah, Texans have the early game on Saturday. Ravens, Steelers is the late game on Saturday. Bills and Broncos. Broncos traveling to Buffalo Bills after securing their playoff spot versus us last week. Going ahead and seeing if they can do anything. NFC side, Rams, Vikings going to end up being the Monday night game, which is, God bless America, in LA. And Tampa Bay versus Commanders. Sneaky, fun shootout potential. I'm going to be very interested in watching Baker Mayfield.
That should be a high-scoring game for sure.
Yeah, that's going to be a very entertaining
game.
Good.
Commanders can score with anybody, so that should be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, Sunday night on NBC there. Eagles and Packers in Philadelphia. Packers honestly reeling going into the playoffs. Jordan Love banged up, but there is the Jalen Hurts concussion interesting situation as well. We'll see how that works out. That'll be afternoon game on Fox.
So under on that game.
Yeah. As far as the matchups are concerned, I'll let you guys kind of pick out whichever ones you want to talk about now. So we just go through all of them if you want to, but. The Bills and Broncos, I think, will be an interesting game, given the question that we got earlier. You see what this, again, Denver Broncos team is able to do on defense. They have a really good pass rush. Obviously, Patrick Surtain, the second, being able to take away really any weapon that they choose to. The question is going to be, how does that go up against the Bills offense, which is really good, really diverse as far as the weapons that they use. Obviously, James Cook been really good for them. We know the alien that Josh Allen is. Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, both tight ends out there. They have different guys that they can throw the ball to on a consistent basis. And they also have a really good offensive line. So that's really the strength on strength matchup that's probably going to end up determining it. That being said, Bo Nix and Sean Payton, the way in which they've run the offense recently is being able to take advantage of any team that wants to run those soft coverages. That's what Sean McDermott, generally speaking, has done as far as the Bills defense coordinator is concerned. So it's going to be fascinating to see if, maybe Sean decides to change up some of those things to give the Bills defense a little bit more teeth versus that. And also, I will say, as far as the Broncos and Bengals game was concerned, and I know obviously it looked very good versus us, Sean Payton coached that game to end the game like he was scared to put the ball in Bo Nix's hands. And so this obviously is going into playoffs. He's going to have to make some plays, obviously, if they want to go and win that game in Buffalo. So I think that's going to be an intriguing matchup, specifically for the strength on strength. But I won't rule it out that the Broncos can make that a game up there in Buffalo. You guys have anything specifically that looking at this slate ends up standing out to you guys?
I know a lot of people. I'm probably maybe silly for saying this. I know a lot of people are counting the Packers out.
They can win that game.
And I think that they'll upset the Eagles. That's
my upset
pick. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, if the Eagles won, Jalen Hurts right now with his health in question as far as the concussion goes.
Exactly. We were just questioning them because their passing game even be on time 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
if we get two Gov Kenny or Taylor McKee in this game. Too. Yeah, I think it could get really interesting. I also like the Bills and Broncos matchup as well too. But I think two things for the Broncos that it's going to have to happen for them. They're going to have to really run the ball really well and
win
take
time
care
of possession for sure.
Yeah, and take care of it as well. If they I feel like if they turn the ball over twice in that game, they'll probably lose that game.
Facts. Yeah. If they can keep the game low scoring and run the ball, they can definitely
win. Yeah. The Broncos really need to go in there and just try to ugly that game up as much as they can. If they can do that, then I think they can
start the game with like a nice 6-7 minute drive. Keep Josh Allen on the bench, let him tighten up, let him get a little cold. For sure, I think that would maybe frustrate him a little bit because you like to go out there and score first. Because usually when Buffalo scores first, they get out to leads and they can just kind of let that pass rush eat. But if Denver wins the coin toss, try to have a nice long. This is your first 15, Sean. So have your best 15 plays scripted up. If you can keep Josh Allen on the bench, I think they could have a chance to maybe make it ugly, get them frustrated, maybe force it. If they can get a turnover or two, they could possibly win that game, especially with that pass rush. And Bo Nix can extend plays with his legs. I think he has the second most rush attempts this year behind Jaden Daniels. And I think third was Josh Allen. So Bo Nix can use his legs. It's kind of like looking at yourself in the mirror if you're Josh Allen. Two big arm quarterbacks. Both guys are very athletic that can run and extend plays. And if I'm Bo Nix, that's the best way I think you can do it. You're going to have to run a lot this week because the Bills are obviously going to play some man. They're going to try to confuse him and send pressure. So when you have chances to take off and extend plays and get first downs, you should do that for sure. That's the best way of chance if you want to beat Buffalo. And like you said, running the football because they're not a good run defense. So big Audric Estime, big Jaylen McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, big week for those three guys.
Yeah, the Bills, again, like you said, can't stop the run. Again, a little bit softer in coverage. Broncos, not a great run team. They've kind of maybe found a little bit of different pitches with Javonte Williams, and obviously to your point with Audric Estime too, kind of being the hammer to go along with him. Jaylen McLaughlin can get some yards on the ground too. If they get that run game rolling, then they have a shot. And again, Sean Payton, one of the better offensive minds in the National Football League, he can scheme something up to go and give him a chance. Ultimately, if they're able to control that ball, again, protect it specifically, they'll be in position to make this a game down the stretch as well. And again, the defense is stout, so it's not like they're going to be going in there and hoping for the best against the Bills. They're going to try and take the fight to them, and that really good offensive line for Buffalo.
8.5 is a lot of points. I'll probably take Denver. 8.5. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, 8.5 is a lot of points, especially when you're talking about a defense as good as the Broncos, and if they can shorten the game as well. Yeah, Love's elbow. I mean, it sounds like he's going to be okay. So take that for what it is.
He was going like this during.
My point to that is that I just think the Packers can run the ball.
Yeah, same thing. Run the ball.
Need it be. I kind of feel like, especially in that last game, that they were kind of saving Josh Jacobs a little bit of wear and tear on him. I think you get a heavy dose of Josh Jacobs in this game, with Love kind of just game managing him, not turning it over or anything like that or whatever. I still think the Eagles can win, but I think it's predicated on if Jalen Hurts plays or not. If Tanner McKee or two glove Kenny has to play, that game could get real nasty for them. So
I do assume
and if
it's going
Jalen
to
Hurts,
end up being No, I was gonna say I assume it's gonna be Jalen Hurts, but of course, all bets are off if they have to play Kenny Pickett. Honestly,
even if
based on what I
back,
saw from Tanner McKee, I'd rather play Tanner McKee than Kenny Pickett. Sorry, go ahead.
Even if Jalen comes back, what if he leaves the game again? Like one game
right.
hit, like he already had a concussion. You had to sit 2 weeks. One more hit, whether it be from the ground or from a player, he's out the game. So
yeah. So as far as the Ravens Steelers are concerned, we've seen the Steelers reeling over the past month. It just doesn't seem like you're going to have a functioning offense for the Steelers. And the Ravens defense has been better recently as well. It's something that we'll probably end up getting into as far as, next week as we, start to look ahead to what the Chiefs possibly will go up against as far as these teams are concerned. But, yeah, I expect the Ravens are going to probably put it on the Steelers. I expect it to be, a little bit of a blowout similar to what it was a few weeks ago when these two teams matched up.
Zay Flowers and no Zay Flowers, they should still blow them out for sure, regardless.
I don't think Texans and Chargers or Ravens and Steelers are going to be in a close game. I think the Chargers will whoop the Texans.
I think they win too.
Based off what we say, go ahead.
Not in the sense where like it's a massive ball. I just don't think those games will be close or either one of those teams will be competitive. Texans and Steelers have kind of limped into the playoffs. So I don't see them being super competitive in these games.
Yeah. Bills Broncos might be the only good one for the AFC side.
I do think the Ravens end up handling that Steelers team pretty easily. I think Texans and Chargers can be closer, but that's only because the Chargers aren't necessarily built to really blow a team out. And I think Texans defense can still present some problems for that Chargers offense. But I do think they end up going to Houston and getting that winning. But hey, maybe CJ Stroud is able to, put a really good game together and surprise some folks from that standpoint too. But Jesse mentions defense has been really good throughout the entirety of the season for the Chargers. So I'm sure he'll have some things dialed up to give CJ Stroud some different looks and make it tough on him too. Rams and Vikings, and I think Buccaneers Commanders are going to be two entertaining games. Rams beat the Vikings earlier in the year. Obviously, we know Matthew Stafford has a championship pedigree about him. Puka, is going to continue to present some problems, but that Brian Flores defense is really good. And I think that Vikings offense is really good too. And it's not going to look as hostile an environment out there in SoFi as it was for Sam Darnold going to Detroit on Sunday Night Football. So I think Sam should have a solid game. even though the Rams can present some problems across the defensive line. And I think the Vikings end up getting out there with a win. Again, like I said, Buccaneers Commanders to me is a toss-up, and I think it's going to be a shootout and entertaining toss-up at that. It's going to be down there in Tampa.
Yeah.
Hopefully we
Other side of the bracket, I think I got Vikings, Bucks, and I'm going to stick with my upset pick in the Packers. But I really think with the Vikings game, I know they beat them early on in the year, but I just think this matchup this time is probably going to come down to Brian Flores and what he has game plan for that Rams offense. And I just think, like you said, the pressure as far as the crowd and the noise and stuff like that for Sam Darnold, I think won't affect him as much this week or whatever. I think that Vikings offense also will be in a lot more rhythm than they were last Sunday night or whatever. And Justin Jefferson, to me, in my opinion, has to play better.
Oh, he will. I mean, it's a better matchup for him going against that Rams secondary.
Yeah, a lot better matchup for him. A lot better matchup for that offense, period.
That'll be a high-scoring game. But I think Flores, obviously, his blitz pressures and trying to get confusing quarterbacks, and we know Stafford loves to throw the ball under pressure. He loves to give his guys a chance to make a play, Puka or Cooper Kupp out there. So I got the Vikings winning that game too. I think they kind of get pissed off what happened last week. They played the Rams this week, and it was earlier this year, and it was a high-scoring game. Obviously, McVay and Stafford have the championship pedigree. That's why I think the game's a pick 'em. That's why it's like 1.5 for the betting line. So it should be a toss-up. So I wouldn't be mad if people pick the Rams. They can easily win this game, but no home field advantage. Not going to be really any crowd noise to deal with as far from the Vikings' perspective. And obviously, you just came off a playoff type of scenario from last week. So I think they're going to be locked in and loaded and ready. Justin Jefferson will get fed a lot this week, given how much they missed him last week and making plays. So, and the Rams secondary hasn't really been that good this year. So now the Rams D-line is good at getting to the quarterback for pressure. So they have to get the ball out of their hands. But I fully expect Sam Darnold and that offense to bounce back and go out there and have a good game. I think it's going to be a shootout. It should be a high-scoring game. But I think the Vikings pull it out for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, as far as NFC is concerned, I think I'm leaning to the Vikings. Bucks Commanders is tough. The funny thing about Bucks Commanders is we do have obviously the Marshawn Lattimore Mike Evans rematch if Lattimore is healthy, of course.
Can he play the whole game?
Like that, if them two have to go out there and play a playoff game against each other, it's going to be
over under on
flags. That's the most even matchup in this wild card round.
That's a pick 'em too for sure.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna win that game. I'm taking the Bucks just because
whoever got the ball last, because they both could score. Neither defense is really amazing, so yeah.
It's going to be a really good test. And again, this is one of those things, and I talked about this a little bit last year with CJ Stroud versus Mike McDaniel later on in the year, obviously in the playoffs, but also when he was able to face the Buccaneers earlier in the year too. When you play these guys that can dial things up and make things really difficult on quarterbacks, especially rookie ones, you learn a little bit. Todd Bowles is going to have some special blitz looks to try and take advantage of a Commander's offensive line that's and obviously Jayden Daniels, who's a little bit, green behind the ears from that standpoint. So if Jayden Daniels isn't ready for those things, it could, be the thing that ends up swinging if you get a turnover there. I think I'm going to lean the Buccaneers from that standpoint. I think they get 1 or 2 key turnovers because Todd Bowles ends up getting the rookie a few times as well. But I think it'll be entertaining and definitely a coin toss type of game. I understand the point that DG is making, but I think the Eagles are, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC. I assume Hurts is going to end up being fine. I think they're going to handle the.
I fully expect them to win. They should win this game, but it would not surprise me if the Packers upset.
As long as Jaylen plays, they should win. But if he doesn't, they'll lose.
I've been trying to support the Packers all year, but just slipping through right now. Do you think the Chargers take care of the Texans? I think the Ravens handle the Steelers, and I think the Bills end up winning there versus the Broncos, which would set up a Chargers-Chiefs AFC West rematch for a third time this year. Ravens and Bills in Buffalo, and the divisional round on the AFC side as well. So, and if that happens, we obviously will talk about it. Looking forward to it from that standpoint. Anything you guys want to hit up before we go ahead and get on out of here as far as the playoffs or anything else?
Underdog.
Yes.
This show is brought to you by.
There you go.
No, Underdog, man. Great sponsor, man. Show's brought to you by Underdog. Easiest place to play daily fantasy sports. NFL playoffs is coming up. NBA is always going. College basketball is a big night for college basketball tonight. A lot of great matchups in that. So, they got it all on there, man. Get on there, play pick. You see, CJ's already got his picks in.
Play, baby.
We got the bet the house Discord. Hit me, CJ, Ryan, Charles, DMac, one of us up to get into the Discord or whatever, man. It's just a community of people sharing plays, talking advice, anything, talking about bets you didn't hit. Or
Get
whatever.
that cash, you dig?
Yeah. We do make a little cheese over there every once in a
Nah,
while.
man.
So, come join us, man. Bet on Underdog, man. Use the promo code KingdomCast or our promo code Truth3. It's all caps. And the number 3.
Truth 3.
Yeah, man. Playoffs coming up, man. Get you some money, dog.
We got some good plays this weekend. I already got some.
Get it on Underdog. Yeah.
Yes, make sure you guys check all 3 of our accounts out. We always do, tweet out our Underdog plays, so you can go ahead and tail as well. And look, there's always obviously the deposit match, and then also there'll be some new customer free plays for anybody that does want to end up joining up from that standpoint. I think it's going to end up being Justin Herbert this week going into the wild card round as far as the free play that you guys can add to your entry. So we'll see what ends up happening this wild card weekend. Again, Saturday games, Sunday games, obviously Monday night football as well.
2-3.
Chiefs fans, you guys get to kick your
College
feet up.
football playoffs.
College football playoffs on Thursday and
all
Friday,
the way
I
to
believe.
Monday.
Both Thursday and Friday, the semifinals.
Boy.
Get to kick your feet up and enjoy it, man. Going to be a lot of fun from that standpoint. Anything else we go ahead and get it out of here, fellas?
That's it.
The Texas Longhorns have no chance against Ohio State. That's all. That's what I've been told. We're supposed to get blown out, so
They ain't gonna get blown out, but it's gonna be
our season's over.
The entirety of the SEC hopes are going to rest on the Texas.
rest on your shoulders. Quinn Ewers, it's on you, baby.
It's on your shoulders, Quinn Ewers. We'll see what ends up happening. But yes, Chiefs fans, kick your feet up. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend. Enjoy the college football semifinals. Make sure you hit up Underdog and use that code KingdomCast or Truth3 as well for your entries for those signing up. Nothing left to say, man. Chiefs 1 seed. We'll see you guys in the divisional round. Peace out. Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Jeez.